What's up, legends? It's going to be a short and sharp one here in tonight's round 6, little wrap up of the 5 things I've learnt, and obviously the 1 fantasy tip heading into round 7. But in this one, I do want to focus a little bit around just each team. Something I liked, a standout player, standout player, something I learnt from that team. And I think that's what we're going to go through for each of them as to something I learned, and then get into that fantasy tip there as well. So for that Knights and Roosters game, obviously the standout was Kalen Ponga, and without them, it's a very different side. And I think Hastings being back in that team has been awesome for them as well. It's someone that scored tries, and he seems to be able to notice when things are going awry, and when to pull the right chain and when to run it himself, and he's got that right a few times scoring tries, and obviously when Ponga was struggling a little bit, they let in a few tries, and they're going to get there eventually. But I do think that without those two kind of steering the ship and Ponga providing a lot of that attack, it is a team that will struggle a little bit outside of that. For the Roosters, obviously the big thing here is Joey Miner at fullback. That really helped them in this one. And just the ability of some of their players to come in, step up and take control and help a squad out, because it was a team that was missing. Walker was missing Teddy, a lot of their standout spines players, and guys really stood up. Brandon Smith had a really good game there. Daniel Tupou was massive on the wing, and Victor Radley is going from strength to strength in the center there. So combining all that with Connor Watson coming in and standing up, I thought it was a really important match for the Roosters to win, as they were going on a little bit of a slide. And for the Knights, they need to try and bounce back coming in next week. And they do have a nice little run to come, do the Knights. The Storm and the Dogs game. So for the Storm, big thing we learnt with them is that they are always in for the fight. And that's exactly what we saw in this one. The Dogs absolutely brought it to Storm, and really positive signs for the Dogs. Not too much out of the Storm other than their fight. I wanted to focus on in this one, and certain players really stepping up a little bit. They got all the stats wrong here. They've just got the older 1 try and a couple of conversions for, or 1 conversion there for Meany. But really, that left-hand side for the Dogs is incredible. We spoke about it in the fantasy video. And their starch in defense with so many guys out, I was very impressed. It's an absolute shame that they couldn't get the win, but that shows the Storm's fight and the vigor that they can show. So congrats to both teams. I think it was a really nice outing there. The Dolphins, unfortunately, have lost a bunch of their top players, and Hammer going down early in this one was kind of the nail in the coffin. They were holding their own nicely, and they were able to strike first through Jared Wallace and hit that lead. And it was only 1 try apiece up until halftime before Oates, Walsh, Cobbo. Cobbo went over twice there, so 4 tries within 14 minutes was the nail in the coffin, as I said, for the Dolphins in this one, and very much the same as last year. They're just getting really poor injuries to guys in key positions. So, tough one for Redcliffe Dolphins and, your boy Wayne Bennett. But hopefully they can get a few of their guys back soon. But, it's a while away for Hammer. They're not getting Gilbert back. And, Lemuelu, he must still be a little while away as well. For the Wars up against the Eagles, this was an incredible game of footy, with the Eagles going up very early with 3 tries before the Wars crossed with Jastavanga, and those 2 tries before halftime were absolutely massive. Ben Chaboyevich went over in the 44th, and things were getting away from the Warriors, and they were able to show their grit and determination as well to get through this game. Big shout out to Daly Cherry Evans at 2 weeks in a row now, has been absolutely massive and really helping this squad out. And also a shout out to Tommy Talau, who had a much better game compared to that of last week and weeks prior to that. SJ has been absolutely killing it for the Wars, and terrific short ball from Tohu Harris was big here as well, and a bit of love for Wade Egan for just getting through his tackles in this one. There wasn't as much on the attacking front for him, but getting through his defensive work was great, and Chan's just absolutely smashing it. So there's a lot of really good moments from this game as well. And just wanted to shout those 2 out there. Both teams, I think, in a pretty good spot after watching that. Broncos are also in a good spot. Reynolds will come back eventually. We spoke about Storm and Dogs there. For the Eels, this was the bounce back game for them. 27-20 victors over the Cowboys. And we spoke about their, sort of not playing too great, but their ability to get a win at home in this was all that they needed to just get a little bit of confidence to know that they can, win a game now. They lost the first 2 without Moses, and they've got one here And hopefully that'll give him a little bit of confidence to continue on until they do get Moses back in closer to halfway through the season, when he gets back sort of that around Origin time or just before, which is great news for them. And Dejan Arce and Brown, that combination's a little bit better together. And then Joey Lussick almost scoring 3 tries. So that little combination was well improved, that's for sure. And the Cowboys side, it's what we've been speaking about all season. It's the defensive effort, the output on that. And the errors just not good enough. Unfortunately, some obstruction calls and things that went against them, but it's through their own fault. They've lead runners and the like there that they've got to get sorted, so they can, if they're in these duels when they're going for big scoring games, that they can get out on the other side of it and score some tries and score more than the opposition, rather than if they're going to let a lot of tries in, they've got to score in the 30s, and that's sometimes just really hard to do. And a big shout out to Tom Chester for being an absolute legend at all times for the Cows there with his effort plays. For the Bunnies up against the Sharks, it was a tough one. There was a lot of standouts, and really nice performances from guys like Jai Gray, Mamazelis, as we thought they would. The youngsters come in and have a good crack, and Hawkins was great as well. So big shout out to him. They had a couple of injuries, obviously, with Totola and also Cam Murray, which hurt them in this one. And those 2 late tries to Burgess and Tass, obviously, made the score a little bit nicer to look at. But, Sharks scored a couple late as well through Wilton and also Blake Brayley. So I just think the Sharkies look a little bit better across the park now. And Ronaldo was a absolute standout game for him. And, on that left-hand side, Teague Wilton scoring a double as well to go along with Ronaldo's double there. And then Trindle. So they're working really nice on that left-hand side. And the right side hasn't really clicked as yet. You got Sione Katoa, who has had a really good season so far, and Britton Nickera hasn't kind of got into his work yet. That combination with Hines isn't really there, and hopefully that does come soon, because then they'll have a really nice threat on both sides, with McInnes doing his great work through the middle with Blake Brayley there. They both almost made a couple of big line breaks there. And then we move to the last couple of games today there. We had the Tigers going down to the Dragons, and it's absolutely incredible how much they miss Lockie Galvin. He provides so much to this side, and that's the reason I did tip against them at home even there. Unfortunate for them. What's the go? It was a sellout, and it was like 10 minutes into the game, and a couple of the stands in the sun there were like not even half full. So I don't know how that works for a sellout, but anyway, super visible to on TV. But without Galvin, they're not much of a squad, unfortunately. Stefano had a really nice try early off a great Appy play. But outside of that was 14 minutes in, and it was pretty gross for the rest of the game until Asukapoa's nice try in the back end in the 70th minute there for the Tigs. So, good thing that Galvin comes back next week. He has to go straight back into that spot, because they've only won 2 games, and they're both with Lockie in that one. And for the Dragons, just a massive shout out to Lomax. Like, there's so much noise around him at the moment, and he's been incredible. Him under the high ball, the effort plays on that, being able to score in that, obviously that first minute as well. Jack Bird going down with the HIA, not nice on that front, but a lot of guys stepped up, and Kyle Flanagan playing really well. Also, Ben Hunt wasn't his best game overall, and he was a bit frustrated at the end, even though they won. A bit frustrated with his own game, and overall, I think the Dragons, they'll really come away happy from this one to get that couple of points and hopefully head back home over the next few weeks and do good things. And then into the last game, and what an absolute cracker that was. I was thinking just before that, like Brian Kelly, he missed one that was a lot closer, and then gets an opportunity from the sideline to tie the game and send it to extra time there. And I was sitting there talking to Ish, and I was like, he's such a rocks and diamonds player. He'll probably slot this. Like, he's one of those guys that just looks like a shocking player, and then he looks like the best center 2 seconds later. So incredible kick from that. Absolutely brained it down the middle. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to get the win, and Foggs was able to ice that. And I really wanted to shout out Ethan Strange in this one. He has come on leaps and bounds from that first couple of games. His tackle numbers in this were great, and we'll speak about it more in the fantasy video tomorrow and Supercoach as well. But that was incredible. That last line break where nothing much was going on, he just put on the afterburners. He's a super quick player and has a great step on him. So actually got around them, got that couple extra tackles, and obviously get Tarpany the ball closer to the line, and then get that straight out to Foggs, and he can kick that field goal. So big shout out to Eth in this one, and Schiller getting 2 tries on that right hand side, doing good things. Hudson Young looking a little bit better as well. So overall, Morgan Smithies through the middle, playing the full 90. Killing my fantasy team, but doing an incredible job, and thankfully we've got him in the Supercoach squads doing good things. But yeah, big shout outs to the Raiders there, and Jaden Campbell unfortunately getting injured in this one. But AJ Brimson just showing his worth at the back there. He always has energy. In that extra time there, he's making breaks and doing great things. Kieran Foran looked really good, dragging the team around. We'll speak about him from a fantasy perspective if Tanner remains out of this side. I feel like he might get recalled again now that Campbell's likely to be out again with the re-aggravation of that knee injury. A couple of nice tries for Cam Pereira as well in the back end, and Jamin Jolliffe playing incredible footy. Both for more looks back to some of his best as well. They're not giving him a lot of early good ball, but defensively was everywhere, and his motor that they speak about was great as well. So Joe Taps looked incredible as well in this one. So shout out to those guys in those games, and that was awesome. Let's get into my fantasy tip of the week. So last week we spoke about sort of all we can do at the moment is make sure that we do have a limited amount of red dots, and more came up last week. More are coming up during this round as well. And I was just thinking, just talking about that, just giving blokes heaps of chances, because when I stuffed up the Smithies one, take a deep breath, the round's over, hold some certain guys, and that worked out well with Karaz, with Gutho, with Lussick, he's come out with a couple of good games as well. Move on to the next week with optimism. Same thing if you had a couple of injuries this week, move on to the next week with that optimism, make the correct trades and go from there. So this week's fantasy tip, just speaking around continuing to hold and also go for the upside play. So if you've got a guy like Karaz who has that terrific running game, has had a bit of a rough trot, some of these players do, and then they can have that boom game where they absolutely crush it. If we're looking at guys like Sean Bloor, he has those boom type of games, and so does Angus Crichton. He has that pedigree from the past, and Kale Iro as well, coming out and getting a really good score. Because these guys are those type of upside players, they're the guys you want to have a crack at. And when it does pay off, it's great. When it doesn't pay off, it's next week that they can come out and get that good score. So all it takes for them is 1 week for it all to turn around. We have 3 trades available next week as well. So I wanted to speak around that. And my theory here is, because there's so many injuries and everything's going on, only make 3 of those trades if you have 3 injuries, or you have players losing money there, /duds like the Hutchos, the Levis, these types of guys. So I would implore you to not go for any luxury trades, in my opinion, at the moment. And, we've got Burbo as well, obviously, this is in the injury list. We have potentially Taylor May's going to get dropped for, if the video's, I've seen the video, if the video is correct or not, he's like commenting and replying to people saying they're like, oh, don't believe everything you see and stuff. So I'm not sure what's happening at the moment with that. I imagine he was doing it, but if he wasn't, then that's whatever. But if he's going to get dropped from the team, then maybe he's just ends up being a sell. So those types of things we can't control, the head knocks, the injuries and the like. So let's just save your trades for those types of players. There are a lot of cheapies that are coming up, mid-range guys that can be really good for your side. So look into buying those type of players. Selling those and buying those types of players, and I think we'll end up in a pretty good position come the buy period. That's what you want to focus on. Don't do the luxury trades, because those will come back to bite you, I think, later on, which it has for me. Selling Smithies, it was a bit of a luxury trade at the time, trying to chase points, and it's worked out in the opposite fashion. I spent a little bit more to get Gutho, and Gutho obviously went well this week, but Smithy's gone bang bang, and so that was a mistake on my part. I've learned from that, and I'm going to continue to try and keep my trades to those important ways of going about it coming into this week and beyond. So we're going to get clearly into some buy planning videos over the next 2 weeks as well. So stick around for that. I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to see you guys in tomorrow's video when we go through the 2 games that just finished, and then our round results for the week that was round 6. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you then.